This is brought to you by the
Uncle Devin Show.
I am honored to have on the show today Emmy Award-winning actor, children's book author, and singer, the one and only Terrence Terrell. Welcome to the Uncle Devin Show.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, now, before we get into all the wonderful things you're doing in your career, what's your background? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from a little town called Cleveland, Mississippi. A town maybe 500 people or 1,000 maybe.
Oh, wow.
But it's not that big, yeah. So very small town. Lots of love.
You know, one of my good friends, Mayfield, is from Mississippi, and in fact, one of the top tuba players when he was younger. But how did you end up going from Mississippi to, you're in California now, right?
I live in Los Angeles now. When we were 5, my mom, I guess she wanted to do Christopher Columbus. She was trying to let us know that the earth was bigger than just Mississippi. So she told us, she brought us out to San Diego, California. So I grew up in San Diego, California, and I moved back to Mississippi when I was 15 to help my grandmother. She had open heart surgery, so I ended up going back there. You know, most of everybody in the South, you go back to end up helping or figure some type of way. I had raised kids or something. So I went back there and helped. Ended up going through college and then grad school.
Oh, okay. Where did you go to college?
I went to undergrad Mississippi Valley State University. I was a drum major there as well. And then I went to Jackson State University, graduated when I was 21 with my master's.
So what was your influences when you were younger that led you down this path? And when did you really get the bug to do the things you're doing in terms of acting, singing, and everything else?
To be honest, when we were younger, my first song that I ever fell in love with was Bobby Brown, My Prerogative.
Right.
Very inappropriate music for a child. Well, you know, in a way, the message is still very strong, but it was very inappropriate. Well, the video was very inappropriate for a child to be watching. But fell in love with that. But right after, I guess, once we moved to California, San Diego, you know, it was kind of rough. My mom was a single mom. And, you know, I feel like I started acting once I watched, once again, Boomerang. Very inappropriate. Yes, watched Eddie Murphy. But at the same time, I think I know I started acting more when I realized how poor we were. Like, so, you know, go to school and act like we had more than what we had to fit in or look cool. And then being one of the little kids that got teased for their dark complexion or the way I looked, I always, like, did different characters in class, like was a class clown, just to keep the heat off of me. So I started that around 5.
So tell us a little bit about your children's book.
Well, the children's book came about. I was in acting, and I was starting to, you know, maneuver through the industry a little bit. So I ended up booking a co-star on Criminal Minds, and I remember getting into these rooms, and it became and it was happening on and off. I would get in the room, I would book the show or book a commercial, and then I'll be sitting in the trailer waiting for them to get in the room and tell me that, oh, we picked somebody else. You weren't, you know, or it was always a feeling of not being enough. And then I went into a stage of depression. My mother passed, and so I realized throughout that, right before my mom passed, I realized that there was a lot of things that I was dealing with, like insecurity-wise, as a child. Like I wasn't really sure about my dark skin. I'm 6'5.5", but I was still walking around. I didn't realize how tall I was. I didn't realize a lot of things because there was still this little insecure child inside. So I started digging into that, went to therapy, started digging into that, realizing, you know, I had a couple of different issues, mommy issues, daddy issues. Even though my mom was a single mom, I met my father when I was 15. And so things like that started happening. And so instead of honing it in still, there was one day I was sitting here on Valentine's Day by myself, and I start writing, and I put Blackie, black, and next thing you know, I wrote that book in 45 minutes, because the only book I could relate to when I was a child that actually, because, you know, the dark-skinned cartoons, like you had, what was it, they had a couple weird-looking cartoon characters that were dark, so it was always the funny one with the hat over their face, with the big lips, so I never really related to that. The only book I related to as a child was The Ugly Duckling, because he was the darkest, and then he ended up growing and becoming a swan, which, you know, was a whole nother situation. So I started to write in, like I said, 45 minutes. I wrote a book about a little dark boy that found love through himself and understood what melanin was, and understood his power. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And so it's a lot of stuff like when we were children that my mother used to say, not knowing. Like, even though I was the darkest, she said, I remember one time she said something like, yeah, you the darkest, but you have the best hair. So all of a sudden I got really obsessed as a child, always wanting my hair cut a certain way to make sure I knew if I didn't have anything else going on for myself, I had a cool haircut. So it's like we got to be very careful how we talk to kids. Even though we don't know, we just need to be very, very careful. Like, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. Like, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, I started writing after that just to get things out of myself. And then I realized that everybody was dealing with some insecure issues and things. So, yeah, that's where the book started coming from.
Now, the book is called Blackie with a Y at the end, correct?
Yeah, Blackie, because I wanted to, I was called Blackie, African booty trap, all kind of crazy, tar baby, all kind of crazy things. But Blackie, I wanted to mean something. So just naming it Blackie, and, everybody sometimes has that nickname as dark-skinned child. I wanted to mean something. So Blackie means beloved. It's an acronym: beloved, adoring, caring, and kind to yourself. It's for anybody who feels like they don't belong, like the black sheep of the family. So not necessarily just leaving it to, dark skin, but anybody who feels like they don't belong. Because like you said earlier, I have friends that are white that said they got teased because they were the palest, or a light-skinned girl that got teased because she was pretty. It was just people get teased. It's just a mechanism how to use it for power and switch it and, manipulate the power into something great.
So how did you get into acting?
Well, I feel like coming from Mississippi, not knowing, like I knew I wanted, that's why I ended up going through school so quick. But I wanted to go straight to L.A. and just model or do something and just get out. And, so coming into L.A., there's a lot of people, I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was I wanted to audition. I wanted to be an actor. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to go about it. But I feel like being from the South and being from these little small towns like Mississippi, you learn to, one, you'll get more bees with honey than vinegar, meaning and I always thought of that being humble and always staying true to yourself. And then, two, there's a work ethic that comes from us that's a whole nother level. So while other people, they probably didn't tell me the ways, but I always end up, people saw me how hard I was working, so you have people who actually wanted to help. Like, anybody will help a hard worker. When they see you trying to do something and make something, you have, so it's not all by myself, but I have, like, great people behind me that actually help push me and look out for me. So I came out here not knowing, and then when I finally figured out how to get on LA Casting and all these other networks to actually get auditions, it was go time. And, that Mississippi blood or whatever in that country got in, and it's just hard work, always just focusing and going full throttle for it. So then I ended up going to auditions and, got an agent, manager, and another agent, and now it's amazing. I literally get to do what I love every day.
So I guess really it was good for you not knowing what to expect or any of those so-called hurdles because they weren't there in your mind to stop you from pursuing your goals.
Yeah, and I think once, because when you're down there in the South, you always hear like, I'm going to do it. I need to save up money and I need to do this. And I literally came out here, it was maybe $1,000 in that account. But by the time I even drove across country, I had $100. And then all that was going from the parking tickets and people towing my car the first week because I didn't understand parking signs out here. So I think my truck got towed like 3 times.
Wow.
And then, of course, like it was a lot. So not knowing is always good. Just, what do they say? Just jump and have faith and know that no matter what happens, you always got yourself and you can always, handle whatever comes your way. And like I said, that comes from going to HBCU, figuring out how to cook in the dorm. Like, there's a lot of those survival.
So you won the Emmy for the 2019 Outstanding Supporting Actor in the digital daytime drama series Giants. How did you get cast for that?
Well, that was right after my mother passed. So it was a whole different type of energy. And I remember I knew of Giants from the first season. I was like, this is an interesting show. And it was on Issa Rae's YouTube channel. And I was like, this is pretty good. So the second season came up, and I just remember the show Giants, but the character breakdown came in. It said Quasi, and it said about, being from Ghana, being his heritage. It just gave a great background. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't anything that my team, at that point I had no manager, had an agent, but it was, me self-submitting, not waiting. And that's another thing, not waiting for somebody to get me something or a script so I can read it to audition. I was still self-submitting myself even with a couple of shows under my belt. And I still do it to this day. If I see a project I like, I literally go out for it myself. So I auditioned for it. It was a self-tape, sent it in, and then I was on my way to Vegas, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to take a day. And I left for Vegas at 11 o'clock a.m., got to Vegas around 1, 2, and I got an email saying that they wanted me to do a test read with the actual other scene partner I would be with, Sean. So I said, okay, cool. So now here I am in Vegas, just got there, literally hotel pillow not even moved off the bed yet, and suitcase still packed. And I said, okay, well, cool. I packed everything right back up, and I got right back in the car and came home because I knew how hard I needed to work on the script. I knew I needed to be prepared, not just for the opportunity, just to make sure I fell in love with the work even more. So, yeah, I came back home, and then I think I got back home around 11 o'clock that night, drove 4 hours back right away, and got home, studied, and went in there. The next day I auditioned in front of James Bland. And, yeah, from there it happened. And I booked the show and not even thinking, like, I didn't even know you can win an Emmy for that. So a year later, just imagine going in there just to keep yourself aboard with the whole craft and exercising and all this other great stuff when it comes to the mind work with this stuff. And next thing you know, a year later, I found out I could actually submit for an Emmy, and I got Emmy nominated, and I was already excited about that, just to say Emmy nominated Terrence Show. But now, so when I got there to actually win, it literally is sitting right here in the living room, and it still hasn't hit me yet.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your music. We know that you're an actor. We know that you sing and you're a book author. Which one do you like to do best? And talk a little bit about your music.
So the music actually came from me. I met a great friend of mine now, Clinton and Keith, and they dabble in music. They're music producers. So I went up there. I was trying to come up with a whole concept for a show. I wanted to start my own show. I never really wait for people to give me permission. I always just do my own thing. So I said, I want to start a show, and I want to do like 1-minute skit things with the animation on Instagram. And so he was like, you need a theme song. So we played with the song. I was like, I can sing that. Never sang, like I always wanted to sing. Never did it in the studio. And I went in there and I recorded 2 songs. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was just like you said, not knowing, not understanding that there could be a hurdle, just going for it. And I was like, okay, cool, let me just do it. And so end up doing the singing. So now the singing goes with the book. So I had 2 songs with the book, and then now I have working on an EP. I have 2 other songs outside of the book, but now I'm working on EP as well, and the animation for the actual books as well. So the music came about, and I go out to different schools to read to the children as well, in inner city schools, just to let them know that, dreams do come true and all this great stuff. So I went out to the school, and so now I play the songs, let them know that you can do anything, never put yourself in a box, just do limitless. And I think out of all of the things that I do, I love acting, I love the singing part, I love the writing, but actually going out into the schools and seeing these little eyes look up, and especially there's always that one little child in the back that always comes up at the end and tells me, like, they feel like they're not enough, or they, thank me for coming, or those kind of moments really, really make everything worthwhile.
So the song that you did is called Crown Town. Talk a little bit about that.
So Crown Town is a song that I wrote with Keith Forrest, who's amazing. So we sat there. It has everything that the book is about. It's all about unity, love, and self-care, and actually community as well. Because I wanted to, it takes a village to raise a child, that old saying in the South. Yes. And it really does, because there were some times that I didn't have any money, and my teachers would slip me money in my books at school to help me go on field trips and different things like that. So I wanted Crown Town to be a place where nobody's different because everybody's different. That's the whole slogan with that. So it's all about love, happiness, and just living in the moment and being yourself. Because we need variety of people. We need different levels to actually understand what the human race is, instead of just blocking it off in black, white, green, purple. It's just the human race, and just falling in love with yourself at the same time, sharing that love with people around you. That's what the song's about.
You also did another song called So Nice to Meet You, which I love. Talk a little bit about that song and the video.
It's so funny because these are literally ideas that I had in my head. So when you say things out loud, it's always funny when you hear somebody else like, "Oh, I love it." I'm like, "Oh, it's cool." It's a concept in my head. But that song just sounds like one of those anthems that you will open up a school gate in the morning, like to put right before you had to go to school. Your mom dropped you off 30, 40 minutes before. You could play in the schoolyard before you actually go to school. And it gave me that feeling. So I wanted it to be about beach and unity. And the great thing about that video, maybe a month later, everything happens for a reason. I was on Venice Beach, and I saw this guy putting up these big, beautiful flags, and he had all the flags from around the world. And I was like, oh, that would be great for the music video. So I thought of that concept to have dancers from different looks. So you have black girl, white girl, a Latino girl, and then you have me in the middle of these flags that are shaped as the earth with all these different beautiful cultures around us, and we're just dancing and just bringing all the love together. And all the kids in there are either my god kids or my niece and nephews. So here I am trying to do a video, and they were like, is he done yet? So the ice cream scene was a part where I had to give them ice cream and keep them quiet. But I was okay, shoot it. Let's just do the ice cream. So they were like, it's so funny because no matter what, they still see me as Uncle Terrence.
That's
so
right.
they don't care about, it keeps me humble because they don't care about the commercials, the movie. They just want Uncle Terrence to pick me up, throw me up in the air, or give me some money. That's all they want.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. Well, being that I'm Uncle Devin, the children's drumcussionist, I'm loving the fact that you're embracing being an uncle.
I love being an uncle. I love on them. I kind of always spend way more than, like, my niece and nephews and my godchildren especially. When they ask me for money or they ask for something, there was a slime party, they always ask me, what's the budget? And I'm like, you're 5 years old. What do you need about the budget? So I get to spoil and love on them, but it's like I didn't have a couple of my uncles, they tried, but they really never had, I guess because it's a different culture now. Like, there wasn't really aligned with themselves. So, they would just work, go clean up the backyard. So now being an uncle and being able to be the one that can actually teach the kids about chakras. For Christmas I rented a cabin in Big Bear, and we did a vision board all the way from a baby was 5 all the way up to 12 years old. We're doing vision boards, saying our dreams and letting them know that they can be fearless and do whatever they want. So uncles, we have that ability to tap in that, that the mom and daddy can't do. It's somebody outside of them that's coming in and loving on them. So it's a great responsibility and a gift.
So again, if someone wants to reach you or contact you about your books, your music, and if they want to book you to have you come and speak at their school, what's the best way for them to do so?
They can go straight to icrownedme.com. So icrowned, ED, past tense, meaning that we're crowning ourselves. We're not waiting for people to tell us we're special. So the website is icrownedme.com.
So what are some of your latest projects you have going on now?
Yes. I'm not sure if you know, but have you seen the new progressive commercials with the half man, half motorcycle, the Motaur?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
That's me. Yeah.
Is that you, Terrence? I did not realize that. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the hair. It's the hair. The hair is different. But progressive, I'm blessed to say that they actually want more commercials. So I'm actually, in 2 weeks, I go back in to film a couple more commercials for this year. And then I have 3 shows I'm up for. We're just trying to make sure it's quality over quantity this year. So I'm just making sure that everything aligns with that. And then the 2 shows that I'm on for BET, First Wives Club with Jill Scott and Ryan and Michelle, that got renewed for season 2. So I'm excited to see. So I'm sure I'll be my character Wesley will be back there, and then Bigger on BET Plus as well. I'm sure Reggie will probably be in that as well.
Okay.
So that, and then so a couple of projects, and then another book at the end of the year.
And just as you mentioned that, we see a lot of actors becoming spokespersons for brands nowadays.
Yes, and it was a blessing. Like I said, and that was another, and just checking your fears right at the gate. That was an audition I went to, and it was raining in L.A., so, people can't drive in the rain. I was like, I'm not going. This is crazy. And my best friend, Jay, he was like, oh, you should go to it. I'm like, but it says half man, half motorcycle. I automatically thought and we do it ourselves. We condition ourselves. I'm like, who's going to put a black man on a motorcycle? Mm-hmm. That's something I thought. But I go here and this amazing brand, Progressive, it's like a family. They opened their doors, and they knew it. When I walked in, they said they knew it was me. They already had the entire concept. And so I thought people are lucky to get one commercial, in 2-3 years. I end up shooting 5 national commercials in 2 days with these people. And it's just been amazing. So just the stigma, like, oh, black with a motorcycle, that makes no sense. But it's an amazing concept, beautiful message. It's a really, 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 really amazing opportunity I have to work with them, and I'm excited. So I have those coming up, and so you'll probably see a couple. Well, no, probably you'll see a couple of shows coming up in a couple of months.
Well, you know what? I love your music, and if I could just put a bug in your ear, I would love to hear you come out with a full-fledged children's album.
Actually, I am. Yeah, we're working on the EP for the Terrence. I say Terrence Terrell, but I'm working on the EP for that as well as children, because I had no idea. There's so many things that we really don't understand. Like I did a school tour, and there was an artist there. He has an entire children's album, and he was going up for a Grammy. So I was like, oh, wow. Like, you can really be recognized for just doing good, and it's not something I'm forcing. It's something that's naturally happening. And then just being able to be recognized on that scale with, children of different minorities coming together, and it's just beautiful music. And music transcends through all types of languages. Even if you don't know English, Spanish, whatever, it's just a feeling, it's a beat. It's all about love and just connection. So music is very, very powerful.
So once again, what's the best way for someone to purchase your book or music?
You can find me at icrownme.com, crowned ED, icrownedme.com, or terrenceterrell.com. And all my music, if you type in Terrence Terrell, you'll find me everywhere.
And you can also find them on Progressive and Modern Family and all those other wonderful places as well.
It's such a blessing. Like, it's so funny because, like I said, I'm so humble with the kids, and even Mama Tina, Beyonce's mom. Like, you see how I'm blessed to know her on a personal level, but you see how hard these people work, and it's so humbling because even though I have all these amazing things going on, I don't feel like I'm above. I know I'm still working very hard, and I'm working towards a legacy and knowing that I'm worthy of the DNA that's running through my veins.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's really just it's an amazing opportunity just to have people say some of your accomplishments, which I just feel like, okay, they're check marks, but it's amazing.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show, on the Uncle Devin Show today, and I wish you all the success. And when your CD is out, we want you to get back in contact with us. Let's come back on the air and let's talk about that and also some of the other things that you're getting into. So, again, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, and thank you for everything that you're doing and actually pushing for a message and giving all this love out and recognizing people like me. So thank you.
This is brought to you by the